All right, all right. Sheltering in place, part 90. How's it going, Mark?
Not too bad. Happy Monday.
Yeah, happy Monday. Is it me or does it just seem like one long day the whole week, right?
Yeah, they've all kind of merged together. There
Yeah, I
isn't
don't know what
really
day it is on any given day. It just feels like one long day.
yeah.
Yeah,
If
well,
you
hey,
don't
you know
watch
what?
much TV, you don't know what's on.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Hey, well, thank you for being on. You're my go-to guy when it comes to the markets, and not only just the numbers and the data, but also the psychology that is going on out there, particularly with clients. So here we are, man, the 13th of April. This is taking longer than all of us thought. It's been a lot more widespread than any of us thought. And like I was telling you before, it just feels like I'm an extra in some kind of apocalyptic B movie, right?
Yeah.
So what are you seeing out there? I mean, you're talking with clients every day. What are they saying to you? Are people freaking out? Are they kind of accepting it? What's the psychology?
For the most part, a lot of my clients have been in the stock market, the bond market, and the real estate market for quite a while. I've got many clients that are over the age of 70. So they've been in the market longer than I have. I've only been a financial planner for 17 years. They still have a few questions about how their particular investments might get impacted by certain things. There are once in a while a client that gets a little panicked about something they heard from their brother-in-law or from their lawyer or from the car insurance agent or something, and it's kind of confusing to them, and it may not have been something that we talked about. So we might get a call about that. But for the most part, people realize the market has been very high in recent memory, and also just back in '09 it got to be kind of low, and it went down by 54% that year. I looked at my
Wow.
screen this morning, and year to date the S&P 500 is only down 13%. But what people fixate on is they fixate how high it was on March 12th. That's when they opened their computer and they had more money than they ever had in their whole life. And
Exactly right.
yeah, that's the psychology behind it, right?
Yeah. And so you're saying that your clients are more resilient because they've had or they've seen more cycles, number one. They have more probably emotional maturity when it comes to the markets because they've seen it. They've been there, done that, so to speak. And the reality is that the numbers aren't as bad as we've seen it in the past, even though it might feel that way. Because I think what's happening is that everything's compounding, right? We have health issues, we have economic issues, and then the markets are all over the place. So add all that together, and it feels like doomsday collectively, right?
Yeah,
So what do
especially where
you?
most people get their news. They get their news from
Yeah,
the
that's true.
place where they need to sell drama and
Yep.
everything else. And for many of our clients, they have anywhere from a 6 month to a 6 year income cash reserve, where they
Okay.
wouldn't have to sell a stock or a bond or a piece of real estate for a certain amount of time. And for every client, it varies. But I was on the phone with a family recently and talking about things, and I said, listen, you got 8 years, 8 years of your present income that you can use in items that are cash or CDs before you would have to ever sell a stock or a bond. And a lot of these California muni bonds, I don't think they're going anywhere. Sure, California could fold up, but then we'll have worse problems than that. So people really have to remember what that cash reserve is all about. And a lot of people just don't have one. And that's a big problem right now that I'm seeing with a lot of people that are referred into me. They're kind of
Mm,
grabbing at things. And some of them I talked to in the past, maybe they didn't become a client. They never did refi. They didn't get a home equity line of credit approved. They didn't sell the Apple stock and put a little bit in a rainy day fund. There's so many things they were going to do
that
that
they
they never
didn't.
did.
Yeah. So on that note, I mean, it's always been financial planning 101, right? To have at least 6 months of all your expenses socked
Minimum.
away in an emergency fund, liquid, and that seems to have gone through the wayside. How much of that do you think is based on spending on things that are just on the material side versus any kind of expenditure that has an ROI versus maybe people just don't have it because it's so expensive out here. Here's what I know is that everybody talks about how expensive it is here, yet why are all the expensive restaurants packed? Right?
Yeah.
Am I missing something? Did I miss a day in school, Mark?
Well, you kind of said it in a unique way there. I don't see a lot of people that are overspending. Once in a while, we come across something like that. But what I see, um, without being too rude, is people were just greedy. They were so greedy. They said, "Oh, the CD is going to give me 1.5%. I'm going to buy more Apple stock, or I'm going to buy more Lehman Brothers stock, or Polaroid, or Kmart, or Webvan, or all of that stuff back from the dot-com bust." But people get greedy; they want higher rates of return, and they ignore the risk. Then they end up with a pile of mortgage-backed securities, and it's 2007, and then things just kind of go away. They concentrate investing on things that they've done well with, and they end up with a lot of money. One of my mom's cousins was recently telling her about in '07, he had something like 6 properties he was in the middle of developing. So as a developer and a contractor, you kind of have your life savings into these projects. And the recession hit back then, and he had a lot of things that were halted, a lot of things that were worth 50% less within a couple of weeks. And people get too greedy and they pile in on something, and it does them well for quite a while sometimes, but they never shave anything off for a rainy day.
So do you think that fiscal conservatism is going to come back?
Well, it'd be kind of exciting if it did, but I don't see it coming back in a way that would be meaningful.
Mm,
It will initially seem like it's here, but we will revert back to natural human tendencies. It's natural for people to spend their paycheck. That's why the 401ks swipe the money out first. That's why the government withholds taxes before we get the money. All the important stuff should be done before it hits your bank account. And for many people, they need to do this themselves because life insurance, disability insurance, um, additional savings for retirement, college savings, those are not automatic. You've got to program them yourself.
yeah, that's true. And look, there's also a reason why the industry, meaning investment industry, invented dollar cost averaging. Besides the fact that it's the eighth wonder of the world, it was done on purpose because the psychology is, you're right. People spend the money before the ink on that paycheck is dry. There's a, and I think a lot of it is just escapism. Yeah.
Sure, sure. Now, how far does something have to go on sale before the average person is convinced to buy it? The pizza industry really messed themselves up by having a coupon available in every Wednesday's mail, and so no one buys a pizza without a coupon usually because it's like a $30 pizza. You're like, whoa, I'm going to pay $30
Yeah. So
for a
Wednesdays, the
pizza.
pizza sales spike.
Yeah, well, how low does the stock market have to go until you're going to buy more of it? And most people don't do that. They're thinking about selling. One of my buddies was on an email chain of homeowners and their little HOA, and
Mm.
one guy said he stopped putting money in his 401k because it's just a losing proposition. And I'm thinking, well, now you should put in more if you're not already maxing it out because you're buying things at a cheaper price.
Yeah, that's right. So what overall advice would you give the folks who are watching right now, whether they're already invested or they have a little bit of money socked away, and maybe they do have more than 6 months socked away, and maybe their fear made them pull out even more money? What do you say to those folks that are out there just in general right now, since there's so much fear about everything, including investing?
I go back to the sleep factor and I ask people, what causes you to lose sleep? And tell me about one of the best nights of sleep you ever got, right? So sometimes when people just buy a house and they realize that they can do it and they're feeling nice and they move in and they're in their new house and everything's laid out properly, one of the most important parts of their life. They've reviewed every financial detail to a degree they haven't in a long time. So they kind of know they're okay, right? And the bank usually requires them to have 3 months cash reserve, right? Well, that's not quite enough. As we can see in this environment now, we might be out of work for more than 3 months, and some people are already overspending. They have credit card bills to pay and that sort of thing. So I would really just start out at the beginning with almost anyone that calls me. Is take a look at where are they at for cash reserve, and is that enough to get them through whatever the crisis is. If they've got a big time job that's hard to fill, and they get laid off and they can't find another job for 8 months, well, then our cash reserve minimum is 8 months. You can't, if it takes you 2 years to find another job, then our cash reserve minimum is going to be 2 years. You know, we got to look at the basics first and make sure they're in the right spot for emergency money and all the insurances that they don't want to have. They probably should. You know, you're not going to change your house insurance carrier after all these fires in Northern California. I've got people stuck with house insurance people they don't even like, but no one else will take them. So they should have changed before. And then you have all these people that are underinsured. I had a family that their lawyer said they needed to get more insurance on their house. They called the insurance company and they said, "Oh no, we're only letting people go up by 10% a year." I'm trying to give you more premium and you don't want me to buy more insurance. So yeah, the insurance companies are concerned about that risk of loss. And that's what's important to most people is, what are you scared about losing? And then what is it that you're trying to make? And what habits are you willing to change in order to get there?
Yeah, I agree. The only other thing I'm going to add to this is make a list of who your service providers are, and next to them put a plus or a minus. Are they the ones that you want to be in a long-term, meaningful professional relationship? If the answer is no, you put a minus. If the answer is yes, you put a plus. I will tell you that no one, present company included, can be an expert at everything. You have to surround yourself with your economic financial tribe that are going to put your interest before their wallets. That's what's important. When you have somebody like Mark, who's been doing this for 17 years, there's a reason why he survived 17 years and all those cycles. And two, he's got a thriving business. And he's also, again, thank you for getting on this, because I'm not paying him anything, including coffee, because I can't even go have coffee with him. I can't even pay for coffee, right? He's doing this out of the kindness of his heart because he knows how important disseminating really good advice and information really is. Make sure that you are surrounding yourself with the right people. Right now, more than ever, it's a good time to assess. We have no choice. We're sheltering in place. We are not only sheltering in place with our families, but we're also sheltering in place with our own brains and our own thoughts. So it's a good time to reassess. I call it the COVID reboot. We're going to reboot our lives for a fact. I don't think any of us are going to be the same coming out of this. Now, are we going to go back to some old habits? I do think so, of course, because it's like you said, Mark, it is the human condition, it's a human tendency. However, that said, I do believe that some things are going to change forever, or the long term, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
I
you
think
know,
that's
Ed,
going to happen.
that list that you're making there about all the people you do business with in your life, that list should go inside of the binder that has your will, trust,
Your
healthcare
estate plan,
directive, HIPAA, and
100%.
all that stuff. We've had a few clients on occasion die below the age of 100, and I'm always getting a call. This morning I got a call from a client's sister that said, "Oh my gosh, what do I do? Who do I call about this and that?" And you know, I keep a lot of good notes and I have people's names and that sort of thing in my files, but I don't keep track of everything. I don't know who they pay the garbage to or what have you. And then you find yourself, you know, going through the deceased person's mail and trying to reach out that way, and having that in a binder for the people that you love. It's already going to be a mess because you died before you were 100. Having all those names in one place is really good. And what I've found out for some of my clients, even when they're 80, they don't remember who they're doing business with. So sometimes they have to go in there to look.
Yeah. Another thing that I'm going to recommend is that you go through all your statements, your bank, your credit card statements, and go and make sure you look at all your spending habits, number one. And two, look at all those things that you have on autopilot that you may not even know. Because what happens if you have 7 things that are $10? That's $70 a month that's going out the door. You don't even know on automatic pilot. You need to look at these things and reassess and then determine whether that should be an expense even moving forward. I saved $75 a month just by calling T-Mobile, just on my cell phone, every month. $75 is a substantial amount of money, right?
Wow.
Every month. Yeah, I just called them. Look, now is a great time to call all your credit card companies and ask them for at least 12 months special promo with no interest, or if you can start there. If you can get 6 months and not 12, hey, it was better than what you came into the conversation with, right? Look at
Yeah.
all your expenses, cut out the ones that you do not need, and go and renegotiate with all the ones that you do. Look, even car insurance companies are giving rebates now because they realize that people aren't driving as much.
Well, yeah, they have less risk exposure. So the prudent
Of
thing to
course.
do before the California Insurance Commissioner files a complaint against them is to refund the client's money for the risk that they didn't
Right.
incur. But with that, when you're talking about property and casualty insurance, so many people renew those policies without blinking, and they just write the check or it comes out of their escrow impound.
It's true.
What people ought to really do is take a look at month 10 of the 12-month relationship and make a quick call to their insurance person and say, hey, is there anything here that I should really take a look at? And at least every 2 or 3 years, fax or email your declaration pages to the competitor to find out if there's anything that they would see that
Right.
should be changed. And just so many times I see people are grossly underinsured, and if something
Yeah, that happens a
happens,
lot.
they're just exposed. And that $800 a year or some pocket change there you were talking about, that'll buy a $5 million umbrella policy, and I would sleep a lot better knowing I had that instead of an extra few minutes on T-Mobile.
You're absolutely right. And there you go. The other part is, know and getting educated. What is an umbrella policy? Because by the way, when I say that, believe it or not, most people don't get it because it sounds expensive because of the name. Oh, umbrella policy. Oh, that must be something more expensive because it goes on top of what I already have. It's got to be bucks, right? People don't realize, Mark, that just because it sounds a certain way doesn't mean that it's expensive. Matter of fact, financial planning for many years was something that people did not embrace because it sounded like something only the rich people can
Mm.
use. Well, that has been proven through time that that is actually the opposite. That if we as a middle class are going to rise above, we have to plan. Because think about it. If you're not making $10 million deals on your yacht, you got to get busy. You
Yeah.
got a lot of work to do, right? Just to keep up because it's getting
Yeah.
more and more expensive no matter where you're at, especially out here, of course, in Northern California, but it's happening everywhere. Look, and the Californians that can't afford here are moving to other places and rise, the water tables are rising there too. So,
They are. I'm licensed in 19 states, and I've had some clients like in Austin, Texas,
yep,
where things are becoming more expensive, or up in Portland or Seattle, and they say, yeah, we left the Bay Area. The inflation over there is like 15%. The inflation here is 10%. At least we got a house with a backyard, but things are almost as expensive in Austin, and that's not really true. I mean, maybe the East Bay and Austin might be a comparison, but things continue going up, and you've got to
yeah,
secure that housing, and you've got to secure that retirement income, because you got to take care of yourself first.
absolutely. So, Mark, my final question: how do people get a hold of you?
Well, they should probably call you first because they know who you are and you have my phone number. But just
Absolutely.
in case, yeah, a good way to reach me. There's the website has my email address on it. I work over at Ameriprise still. I started there 17 years ago, but the phone number is 415-596-9933. And the email address would be mark, M-A-R-K, .a.porter, Porter, at ampf.com. That's Apple Mary Paul Frank.
Beautiful. Well, thank you again so much. You're always a wealth of information. Okay, guys, give him a call. He's got even more information that obviously we don't have time to share, but everybody's situation is very, very different. Give him a call. He is more than happy, and I believe this is the case that you'll give anybody that calls, giving my name, a free consultation. You guys could talk to him, walk it out. Because even if you're not at a financial place where you can invest, at least this man will give you a roadmap on how you can
Yeah.
get there in the near future, and that's super important. By the way, make sure that you click subscribe down at the bottom, and also the bell that is on the right side, so that way you get notified every single time I am putting in another video, because I'm doing a lot of them these days. And please also let me know what you would like to see. If there's a topic that I have not covered as of yet, please let me know. I'm more than happy to do that. All right, Mark, thanks again, buddy. You have a great day. Make sure that you stay strong and stay very healthy. Take care.